Okay.
All right. Hello, everybody. We are Los Querreques Huastecos, Mexican son, Huasteco music. And to my left here, we have our violinist Yumali Garcia. And to my right is Diego Gonzalez. And I am Benito San Miguel. And we are all in the DC area, Virginia, DC, Maryland. All of us are in different areas. But we're delighted to be here, and we'd like to share a little bit about what Son Huasteco is. And so first up, we're just going to play a little bit, a sample of a song that's kind of our namesake song. It's called El Querreque.
We won't get any close, though.
Oh, no worries. ¿Qué cosa, compadre? Y le dijo el carpintero, hombre, vive con cuidado, que siendo yo carbonero, una mujer me ha tiznado. Querreque, 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 querreque. ¡Ja, ja! Thank you very much. That's just a little sample there. Yumali here is playing, traditional violin. It's nothing, I guess, extra special, but I'll let him talk to you about it.
Yeah, I mean, so from what you can listen to our little sample, the violin plays an important role in this music, and it's like Benito said, it's nothing different from like the regular violin. It's a classical violin, a regular violin. Now we're gonna do something different for this part of the workshop, because usually what we do is we play a half step lower. That's like a traditional way of playing the Huasteco music. Like some of the explanations is because it's derived from like the Baroque music, and so they kept that tuning. And also it helps with our voices, because as you'll notice, like not right now, but you'll notice in the show we tend to sing a little higher. We tend to do some falsetto, and so yeah, it's awesome that we get to tune it down. Apart from that, the violin, most of what we play is down in the first position. We go third position. It's really rare that you go up there, so it's very attuned to what fiddlers do. Bluegrass, we play a lot of double strings, we have double stops, and we play a bunch of like fast rhythms. Yeah. So we'll talk a little about like what the Son Huasteco is and how it came to happen, and some of the characteristics of the music.
That's you.
Can you see the little thing over there? His little breakdown.
Can you see it with your glasses?
Yeah, my glasses are pretty hard. All right, so the Son Huasteco, it's based out of southern, eastern Mexico. There's a group of states, including, well, I'm kind of jumping here, but it's basically a region called La Huasteca, includes Hidalgo, Puebla, Querétaro, San Luis Potosí, regions near Veracruz, and they're based in a 6/8 rhythm. So every song is pretty much and the main the trick of the genre is the azote is called. So it's stopping the strings, but it's not like a mute. It's more like a ringing sound. So rather than it's you still hear it ringing out when we do it. So it's kind of a weird little thing there. And in complementing this kind of really galloping rhythm is aggressive fiddling. So like we're doing this throughout every song. It's keeping and changing different chords, but he's over there ripping lines essentially. So that's why we're kind of part of this fiddling thing, because we're singing, we're keeping harmony, but he's over there defining the song essentially. The singing itself is in a call and response format, so usually it's 6 lines, and they're usually 8 syllables, depending on the song. You can be 6, it can be 9, depending on how you rhythmically fit it into that format. But it's it'll be like someone will sing 2 lines, so I'll do A B. He'll sing A B, or we can do B A, and then it'll be C D E. Is it C D E F? I don't know how to count. Yeah, but yeah, it's call and response for the first 2 lines, and then the last 4 lines will be completing whatever thought or it's a sentiment trying to be expressed in the lyric. And usually it's like something about nature, something about love, something about the town you're from, you know, it's something that you care about, you know, or you know, heartbreak, the ocean, because they're right there by the sea. So there's a lot of different things they talk about. But yeah, it's pretty like a strict in what composes the songs. And what is it? What do you want to say about this one?
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, I think Diego mentioned a lot of details there. How many of you have been to Mexico? Have any of you been to La Huasteca? So just to reiterate what he said, the Huasteca is generally it comprises 6 states, not the entirety of those 6 states, just portions of them. So the Huasteca region was defined by indigenous peoples, the Huastecs, and their region encompasses modern-day Tamaulipas, which is in the northeast and just south of Texas. Below that, you've got Veracruz, and both of those are coastal. So you've got access to the Caribbean there. And then inland a little more toward the central region, then you've got Hidalgo, San Luis Potosí, Querétaro, and Puebla. And each of those has their own style, not only with the music, but with the dances as well. You'll also see it in the costumes. So everyone has adapted it a certain way. As he mentioned, the rhythm is in 6/8. So basically what you're getting is what he called an azote. An azote is what he said, but right? So you've got the basic sound is and over and over. And so the interesting thing that I found about the strumming for the Huasteca is that at first I thought there was an actual bass guitar in there, because you'll hear a lot of bass notes accenting that. So I thought it was but both of us are doing the exact same strum. So the reason it's special is because when you play the 6/8 rhythm, you do 1, 2, 3. So it's just, you know, what they call dry strums. 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one is the interesting one. That's when you mute the top strings, which is the bass. So you get that low sound. You mute it with your thumb as you go down, and you do what's called an azote. So you go. So as you're doing it quickly, 1, 2, 3. And that rhythm is very representative of how the dance came about. Son means generally song. It comes from, it has roots in Cuba, has roots in Afro-Mexican music as well. And so a lot of that became kind of that lilting, galloping sound that you hear. And so a lot of the songs you'll hear are about, you know, the range, about horses, about, you know, rustic life. And it really fits the theme. You have, as one of our colleagues described the violin, you know, a fiery, wiry sound, and then you've got the twang of the quinta huapanguera, which is what this is called, and it's called quinta because quinta means 5, and it's got 5 courses. And then you have the jarana huasteca, and a jarana is very general instrument that you'll find in many different places, and it tends to be, you know, just a rhythm guitar. This one is a rhythm guitar as well, but it also has a little bit of finger picking as well. More experienced players would show you that, but generally, yes. The striking thing about sones is that it's kind of its own canon in and of itself. You have I don't even know the number, 80, 100 sones, but they all fall under the umbrella of huapango. And now huapango can be used as a term to say we're having a party, we're having a huapango, we're having a get together, right? And it's kind of like a fandango, you know. Fandango is kind of reserved for another type of Mexican music. So then when they say huapango, we come together for this kind of music, right? But huapango also means a style of music. So it's that rhythm, right? And so you have that rhythm. And then so all sones are huapangos, but not all huapangos are sones, right? So you have the subset. So you have the huapango, that's everything, it's the rhythm. So someone can take a song, and we actually play a song that I think we're going to play later, right? So there's a song made that was made famous by Costa Alfredo Jimenez, who was a very, very talented singer and composer in Mexican music. And he has some of like the chart toppers. And one that is very popular and really, really well known in Mexico and worldwide is called Serenata Huasteca, Huastecan Serenade. And that song is a huapango. You don't call it a son because it doesn't have the A-B, C-D structure to it. It's more of just like, I like the rhythm, I'm going to put my lyrics to it kind of thing. And so you'll hear a lot of those huapangos. And that's how you can kind of distinguish between the two styles.
So the music in itself, the harmony it's pretty simple enough. So you go from like first to fifth to fourth to fifth. So what's the tonic, so dominant, and so for the violin it's the same. Like most of the things in the violin are composed out of like arpeggios. So for example, or it can be slower. And then you change for like G7. And so it's like most of the things sound like really complicated, really, because it's pretty fast. But once you know like the certain structure of the songs, it's sort of like it's what you do in your practice, right? You practice G major arpeggios, you need G7, and so it's variations of that. And so most of the songs, most of the sones are there's an introduction where you present the song. That's like the main melody of the song, and then the voices enter, and then there's a little interlude. That's based on the same harmony as the solo, but that's when you get to like sort of improvise, sort of move around, and so like most. The best players, they improvise on the spot. But it's improvisation because it's something you've done before, right? And so it's and for me it's for a violinist it's really fun to play. This is one of the best things to do as a musician in Mexico, and most people avoid it. So you'll hear, for example, a lot of son jarocho, which is a style of music in Mexico that's like from the neighbor regions of the Huasteca. Which is like easy. It's not easier to play, but it's more simple, as you can have like a bunch of instruments and a bunch of guys playing the same thing. The melodies are only melodies, and so you can do simple stuff. But you won't hear many Huasteco groups here in the U.S. or around the world, except in Mexico, because it's harder. You need to find like a more, it's not more skilled violin, but like more faster. And so yeah, it's fun to play. Should we do another sample?
Yeah, as Yumali was saying, I think you don't see it as much in the U.S. because it's kind of an unknown genre of music. It's not as popular as mariachi music, for instance. Mariachi is the world over. Huasteco music, I think, is kind of trying to make a resurgence here. I think it probably had its heyday when most types of music had their heyday in Mexico, which is in like 50s. And nowadays you've got a lot of young people picking it up, little kids and everything, and they're having a lot of conferences and conventions. And so we're really looking forward to building a bit of a community here, so that we can have get-togethers, and people can actually hire us and say like, hey, like, we know that music, we want you at our party. And I think that's most of the deal, that if you get someone to come out and play a bunch of sones huastecos, it's like, well, first of all, what does that mean, and why do they all sound the same? Well, they don't all sound the same if you know what you're listening for, right? And even more, if you understand the lyrics, then it cuts really deep in some ways. But yeah, you want to do another sample of a song? You want to teach them something, or?
We can do it just a little bit before we enter to the interactive part of the workshop. Can we do after the voices in Caballito?
Caballito.
Yeah. So after the voices sing in a song called El Caballito, it's the harmony is pretty simple: G, C, D7. So for example, in the interlude, one part I go. Right, so it's pretty simple, right? So then I could do something different. Just start. So basically the same figure, you just do some different rhythm, or you can do. And So like I said, the music is sort of simple. It's just a matter of knowing where you are at in the song, and so that you can do different figures. So yeah, so let's do El Caballito.
Sure.
So yeah, just the intro. So I don't know if you guys want to learn something in the spot. I have music for it, so I don't know if it's easier with like written music or it's with by ear.
Can anyone use written music? Help? Yep. We got a couple copies, I think.
So there's two copies. I only printed two because I didn't know the format of the version.
So it's really interesting that Yumali pointed that out, because in fact when you're learning the finger picking on this guitar, like the huapanguera, they actually teach you styles like that. They say, okay, you're gonna have to improvise sometime, and so learn these patterns for G, learn these patterns for D7, learn these patterns for C, and so then you just tape them together and you make your own little improv solo. And this genre thrives a lot on improvisation, both in the music and in the lyrics. And it's amazing when you see, some of the professional groups that, have a long trajectory and have been around for the changing of the guard, so to speak. They are able to come up with verses on the spot from scratch about the audience, about a certain person, whatever, and it just sounds so seamless, and they're so good at it. And so, I mean, these songs, that you can tell, it's kind of verse, response, wrap up the verse, music, repeat. And so when you go to these huapangos, you have songs that last 30 minutes, you have songs that last 45 minutes, an hour, it's just non-stop. And you start at like, I don't know, in the evening, and you don't leave until like 6, 7 in the morning. And that's typical. And you have everyone and their great uncle coming with their instruments, and they just pitch in. And so it's very family friendly, and it's very a very good outreach, I think, that the community does to get people involved.
One more thing before we start that. So it's amazing, not only the improvisation in the instruments, but also like in the singing. You say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll hear people making things on the spot and things that are just happening right now. So somebody broke the plate, and so they'll come in the spot like, oh, and they'll make it rhyme. And so it's something really impressive, because you can make things with the instrument once you know like the certain structure of the song, but like making things rhyme on the spot, that's awesome thing that I wish happened more, because it's something incredible to see that happen. So yeah, so let's go ahead to make some music. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, because like I said at the beginning, we usually play one half step lower, so like F sharp pitch instead of G. So right now we're tuned in regular tuning, so that it's easier for everybody. It's good. Yeah, that's why I have my four fine tuners, and my volume for like huasteco, because it's a pain to like be moving it around, switching around from when you play mariachi, when you play classical music, when you play huasteco, and so this is easier too.
Are you familiar with the term audiation? Audiation. So audiation means that you have a really good ear for like hearing changes, and you can then like you hear it in your head before you play it, kind of thing. And so he had a lot of trouble at the beginning when we first started. It was just Yumali and I, and we were practicing the back room of the Mexican Cultural Institute, because it went to space. We weren't planning on showing anybody what we were about, because we weren't about much then. And it wasn't until later that we found Diego, out on the street busking somewhere, and so I remember Yumali said, let's play, classical tune in G. And I said, yeah, I have no problem. I go, I think I can reach those notes. And so we did it like that for a while, and then after a while, we're like, you know what, we're gonna have to do it, bring it down if we want to be authentic. So he brought it down, and he had so much trouble because he was listening for a G, and he saw his fingering a G, but it was an F sharp, and he's like, I can't do this. So he kept, having a lot of, micro tuning issues.
I had to practice for it to like unadjust my ear.
So if you ever want to take your instrumental playing down a notch, for a day, detune it a little bit, and see how challenging that might be. All right.
So for the Caballito, some of you that have the music, we're only gonna do like the first couple of lines. which is it's simple enough. So you do so B D A C. One more time. And then G B D. Let's try one more time from the beginning. And then G E D. Okay, let's try. From the beginning, from the G D D. And then yeah. Because I can also like send the sheet music in PDF to your phones if that's might make it easier. But if not, then we can keep trying like this. So then again, G D D. Then G E D. One more time. Then F sharp. And so that's a unit of the song. After that, there goes the unit in which kind of it repeats the same, but the pattern is in D7 now. So again, just a couple of times so that you're to hear it. Let's try one together. There you go. One more time. 1, 2. Okay, so that's one unit. We're doing pretty good. Then, so A, C, F sharp. And then A, so A, G, F sharp. One from the A, C, F sharp. And then A, G, F. And then in the G now. So you go back to G. So this is the second unit. Okay, one more time. There. And there you go. From there, it repeats itself again. Let's try one more time. I'll play it one time so that you guys can listen to it. Sorry. Let's try from the beginning. There you go, and then we start again from the beginning of the pattern. One more time. Oh, well, yeah, almost, yeah. So you start, instead of starting from, you start, that's the second part of the little bit. There you go. From there. And then from the beginning. And there you go. So that's the whole, that's a whole unit of what we do, a whole little verse. And then from there, so you can start and then you start like breaking down the figures that you have. It's all the G chord and this D7. And so then let's try one more time, which is with the instruments now. So just slow. Okay. Like we were doing. And they'll come off in huasteco music. The armonías, the people playing the strumming always come on the second measure. That's something that I don't know the reason for it, but it's something
cool.
really good. Yeah, I guess it's why start at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Or but it's more like the violin starts a little before the phrase, because they come in right on
It kind of
either.
helps with dancing. You kind of like you get to put your foot down on that first.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's try again from the beginning. So we have so just a little bit so that you guys can hear again. I'm playing some other version and on stage, and so I get used to like other parts better. Oh, we're starting on the second beat of the beginning. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, let's start from the beginning. And there you go. And then yeah, I know it's difficult to learn things on the spot, but so that's
Well, just play it. We'll mess it up for you.
well, yeah. We can try playing it a little bit faster so you guys get the motion of how it sounds.
Yeah.
A little faster. This repeats over and over again. It's just a matter of how you complicate things or how you oversimplify things, and it's a matter of like the interlude between the voices. That's what makes it interesting.
So yeah, after that would come the singing, and for anybody that's ever tried to sing really high, the note starts on G, so that's already really high for a male voice. And full disclosure, I'm fighting a sinus infection, which is why I'm wearing my mask and everything. So this is not the best time to be trying to sing huasteco music, but so it starts really high. So after he wraps up, so can you play the ending note?
Voy a salir a campear al paso de la barranca, al paso de la barranca. Voy a salir a campear.
Yeah, so it's super high. And I mean, that's why I mean 2.5 step down. So you know, it gives us a little bit of a jump there.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but it's amazing because some of the professional groups, they just have high speaking voices to begin with, and you know, I was musing with them. I don't know if it's because the people with high voices in the region gravitate toward the music because they know they can do something with it, or if just everybody speaks like that. You know, I don't know. I haven't spent time in La Huasteca to know whether, you know, just everybody has a higher pitched voice. I don't know, maybe it's part of the, you know,
So
hey, they're short and
from what I
sing
know
high.
from history, like the Huastec, they were an indigenous tribe in Mexico, like around the Aztecs and the Chichimecas and stuff. And so they, for a lot of time, fought the Spanish people, and they weren't conquered until like way later. And so most of the people that used to do this type of singing, they were smaller, they had a smaller complexion. So it's their voice tends do this thing that only they could do. And what's true is like some of the music from the Huasteca was taken from the Spanish music that came, and there's I read that it came from the fandango, like he said that the word fandango it's a party, it's a gathering, it's a festivity in Andalusia from Spain, where they do flamenco. And flamenco, they tend to do that impostation, that falsetto, that head register, and so some of that established itself in the Huasteca region. And so it's the signature of Huasteco. You won't hear impostation in folk music in Mexico except in the Huasteca region.
And the characteristic part of the singing is the falsetto. So you're going to have these jumps. And again, I tell you, if you listen to some of these recordings, some of these musicians just seamlessly jump up there. Their falsetto is as clear and as strong as their chest voice is. And it's really impressive. And so that's something that we kind of aspire to. But, you know, without professional, you know, tutelage from someone around here, it's kind of hard to develop it without just, you know, going at it on YouTube, you know, as most of us do with a lot of skills. But it's very challenging music for many reasons. You know, the patterns in general are pretty simple. They're pretty straightforward. You know, G D7, G C D7. You know, the first, the fourth, and the fifth. Like that pattern holds true, and they only play really in maybe about 4 keys or something, right? And they can play others, and they kind of throw them in there every now and then. But for the most part, it's very, very strict. But it's the skill, you know, that it takes to play the violin, the skill in the plucking, the skill in the, you know, getting the sound right, the improvisation. There's so many little aspects of it, and then you throw in the dancing. That's a whole other story, you know. And you have a lot of musicians who actually dance as well, and they dance really well. And it gets very technical, so it's challenging.
Is the dancing percussive like flamenco?
Yes, it's
This is less upper body, no upper body movement. It's all leg.
yeah,
A
basically.
little bit of arm swing, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do Irish step dancing, so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little less rigid because it's not as crazy. It's more like, you know, soft movements, shuffling. But it's all keeping the beat.
I'll try to demonstrate a little bit here on the grass.
A dancer here on
No.
the stage, so
I used to dance folk dance way back when I was like, I don't know, several pounds lighter. But so the 6/8 rhythm. So there are two components to the dance. There's what's called the descanso, which is the rest period. The rest period is going to come. When do you think you don't want to be making the most sound? Which part of the
When
song?
the violin's playing.
Well, but the violin. I mean, all respect to the violinist. He's got a microphone. He can overpower our sound.
When they're singing.
The singer.
Exactly, when they're singing. So when they're singing, you do what's called the rest step, and then you have the kind of the main step, which can be a number of things. But the very simple rhythm is just the 1 2 3. You know, you've got the 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4. So you got 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6. And it gets more complicated. You know, people can go like 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6. What else? You can do 1 2 3 4 5 6. You know, like you can do a bunch of different things, but you just want to make sure you're quiet. And so the very basic step you can do when the verse comes in would be just that. You're kind of waltzing. 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. And then when the music kicks up, then that's when you stomp like that. And you can do a bunch of things. Different regions do like no. You know, the guys do kicks like that. It gets really technical and really complicated, and I don't know enough to show you. But yeah, it basically alternates between those two styles. And then when you go from one region to another, you'll find the costumes change. The most dramatic, I think, is Tamaulipas, the state of Tamaulipas, which is just south of Texas. And that one they have deerskin. So deerskin coats and pants and chaps, essentially. So one of the songs we do is called chaparreras, and that means chaps. And so the men wear chaps. They wear like a kind of a ribbed hat. Then they wear a coat, and the coat has fringe on it. And so it's meant to be very, you know, rustic, very cowboyish, right? And it's been stylized to the point that it could be in the WWE. But you know, the women kind of wear the same same style. They just have a skirt, and then once you get to like Veracruz, which is very coastal, they have a white dress that's about knee length, and they kind of hold it like this, and then when they dance, it's just very just dancing with their feet instead of with their whole body. And so if you want to look up videos online to see what it's like, I think you'll be in for a real treat. They have some great videos of contests and stuff that they do, and the footwork is fantastic. So
Now, I want to point out, so this music is made for people dancing it and for people enjoying, but there's like two types of music like Huasteco. The one made for dancing, where you hear the 3-beat 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and you'll hear that in the instruments, jaka 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 jaka. So it's quite percussive, and it says like 1 2 3 1 2 3 all the way. But if you listen to other type of music that's made only for playing, well, it's not made only for playing, but it's different the sensibility that you use. And if you hear this, like for example, the Camperos de Valles, that's like a really good Huasteco group. You struggle to hear where's the first beat. Like there's no first beat, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Like Camperos del Valle, El Trio Cultural Hidalguense, and it's crazy because you try to transcribe the music, and it's impossible. And it's something like, for me, it's magical. Like for me, it doesn't make sense, right? I come from like a classical training, and so you're trained to like always like feel the strong beat and the weak beats. And if you play a waltz, it's 1 2 3 1 2 or 1 2 3, depending on what style you use. But then in Huasteco, like instruments, they take off the strong beat and they do what we call apagado, which is like an off beat. And so there's no strong beat, and so you'll hear the violin soaring above those lines. So I really recommend advise you. I really recommend you guys listen to Camperos de Valles. That's an awesome group, and they play like crazy, and it's a treat to listen to them.
absolutely. If you're familiar with mariachi music, Mariachi Vargas de Tecalitlan is like the best mariachi in the world. They have that moniker. They're the oldest group. They've been around since 1898. And they have generations and generations of very fantastic musicians. That's great for mariachi. For Huasteco music, Los Camperos de Valles is like the Mariachi Vargas of Huasteco music. And this only really exists in trios, and so you're only going to find 3 elements. Occasionally you might have a 4th, might be like a friend or a cousin who's like, hey, I want to play too. And they'll let them in. But, yeah, exactly. You might end up doubling on this jarana. But mainly what happens is in these groups, they pretty much just define the goalposts. They say this is the beginning of the song, this is the end. As long as you have an internal rhythm where you can keep the 6/8 rhythm going, and you can find yourself at any given moment, play whatever you want. So think of jazz, right? Like jazz, someone does improv, sax solo or whatever, trumpet solo. They can completely go off the rails in terms of time and tempo, and really do a lot of syncopation and throw you off. But in the end, they're going to find themselves because they know exactly where they are. And so this is the kind of thing that Yamali was talking about. He has trouble transcribing because when we listen to this music, it's like we have to use YouTube's capabilities of slowing down the song to 50%, 25%, just to listen how it's coming. And sometimes it's not there. And so when we have these debates, he's like, no, I think it comes on the offbeat. I'm like, no, I think he just fudged it so it's actually on the beat. And so we go back and forth. But it's very, very interesting music to listen to. Absolutely. Do you want to go over anything else with them? Okay.
And do you guys want to try? I don't know how much time it is. It's 3 o'clock.